Welcome home to St. Anne's. We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays.
So
Please be sure to hit subscribe to
it's
receive our
dangerous.
sermons. We
If
can't
I
wait
know
to
that
meet
you're
you.
a dangerous person in this church because we put you to work, right? So thank you, Father. Thank you for leading us in our gospel. Our gospel today, I think, is very appropriate for our times. And it goes something like this. The disciples have been called and charged to do ministry, and they're pretty excited because all of a sudden they can do these amazing, incredible things, right? And so they're going. And finally Jesus says, guys, take a break. You haven't even eaten. Take a break. You need a break. And I think that is so pertinent for us today because we have this new fad, and it goes something like this. You come across somebody, and you say, how are you doing? They're like, oh, I am so stressed out. I'm just so busy. And you're like, oh, well, and then we get into the competition of busyness, right? So you got a busy off, and you're like, oh, well, you know, I'm busy too. Oh, girl, let me tell you how busy I am. And then it's like, well, you know, I started at 5 a.m. this morning. The only reason that I accomplish all the stuff that I accomplish is because I'm like type A organized. And God bless you if you are. If you offer lessons, will you call me? Please, I beg of you. And so we have this obsession with busyness and stress and out-stressing each other and out-busying each other and, oh my goodness, this and this and this. And it's interesting because we just think of it as a way of, just bitching. But it actually, studies show it goes deeper than that. So it used to be that how you would communicate how successful you are and how wealthy you are and how prominent you are is by communicating how much downtime you had. So like 100 years ago or so, think Downton Abbey times. Does anyone remember the line in Downton Abbey when she's like, what's a weekend? And it's because at that time, like that communicates, well, I don't need that because every day is the same. Because I have downtime all the time. I am successful. But that has changed. And now how we measure success and prominence is how busy you are. And isn't that interesting? Because it's our way of backhanded bragging. We act like we're complaining, but it's really more of a brag. And it's addictive. It's addictive. I mean, I admit it. I do it all the time. I can't stop. Somebody says, how are you doing? Oh, let me tell you. Let me tell you. Don't ask how I'm doing if you don't want. I mean, because it's going to be like, what? Do you want an alphabetical order or just straight up? And here's the thing. Throughout time, we have had this urge to do things, to be busy. And you want to know the secret of it? The real reason that we do it is because in our busyness, we can ignore truth. Because in stillness is when truth appears. Our subconscious will force us to see things, to consider things, to be aware of things that we don't want to be aware of. We worry about the things we worry about because it's an escape from the real things that we should be worried about. And it's because if we saw ourselves in the mirror as we really truly are, we wouldn't like what we saw. And so we concern ourselves with these other things. So I'm busy. Did you know that Aldi's has grapes for like 99 cents? Oh my gosh, I gotta get to Aldi's. But Sprouts has blueberries for $1.98. I gotta go to Sprouts too. And now suddenly I've got 5 grocery stores to go to. Oh my God, I'm so busy. I am so busy. And meanwhile, my kid is addicted to weed, and my marriage is falling apart, but who's got time for that? Sprouts has a sale. I'm going to save 50 cents on blueberries, y'all. My marriage, it's a hot mess, but 50 cents on blueberries. And I am so busy and I am so stressed. It's not good for us. It's not good for us, and it's addictive because it allows us to escape reality. And I know, I agree. Yes, I know, and I'm the worst at it. No, my kids are not addicted to weed, and my marriage is not fun. No, that was an example. If my kids are addicted to weed, y'all, we need help. Don't eat the brownies. Those are Wesley's. I'm going to get in so much trouble. This is going on the internet. Oh, Lord, help us all. Okay, but even Jesus knows. Jesus knows that ministry cannot happen if we are obsessed with our busyness. If we are so concerned about what we have to do, we can't do the work that we are called to do. Jesus knows that. If somebody says, what would Jesus do? The answer is take a nap. What would Jesus do? Take a nap. Because this is not good for us. Do you want to know why there's a rise in heart disease, in cancer, in depression, in suicidal ideation, in marriages falling apart, relationships struggling? You want to know why? It's because we're obsessed with our stress. We are obsessed with it. And we cannot stop. But God calls us to stop. Take 5 minutes, whatever it is. And I know it's addicting, and I know it's hard to do. And so we're going to try it today, because I know that in that stillness that you're covering up with being busy, I know in my stillness that I'm covering up with being busy is my real stuff. I have a student who, she just doesn't sleep. And I finally talked to her and I said, why are you, and she finds all sorts of stuff to do. And it's because she has nightmares. And she's running from sleep. And as we talked about these nightmares, I finally said to her, I was like, you realize that nightmares are your brain's way of making you deal with things that you don't want to deal with. Because here's what happens. We repress. We busy. Ignore. Your brain will force you to deal with the things that you need to deal with. It will do it in flashbacks. It will deal with it in nightmares. It will deal with it in all sorts of different ways because your brain is smarter than you. I know, right? Your brain is smarter than you. And our brain knows that there are things that we have going on that we have got to deal with, but we don't want to deal with them because they're scary. And the reality of who I really am is terrifying to me. And if I can worry about blueberries at Sprouts, I don't have to worry about the darkness within. And if I don't have to worry about the darkness within, I don't have to go out and do the ministry that I'm called to do out there. And sometimes that ministry is to your kids. And sometimes that ministry is to your loved ones. And sometimes that ministry is to people you don't even like. And we are called to do that ministry, but we are so busy being busy that we don't do it. Because, blueberries on sale at Sprouts. And I've got to check my Facebook because what if somebody posts something and I missed it? Or I've got to check my email at, midnight because what if there's an email from somebody who's already asleep and I got to answer it now? They're not reading that email until tomorrow and they're probably still not going to answer it because, they're busy. And then you're going to catch them. You all do this to me all the time. I don't know if your email's working. Oh, it's working. I just haven't read it yet. I'll get to it, I promise. So God, Jesus, knows this and calls us to stop, take a break. But how do we do it? We're so used to not doing it. We don't even know how. So I'm going to give you some ideas. They're going to be unique to every single person. But there are going to be some general ones that I'm going to give to you. And a full disclosure, sermons are usually preached because the preacher needs to hear them the most. It's God's thing, like nightmares. The priest version of nightmares is to preach a sermon that you needed to hear. I realize this. I hear you, Jesus. I do. I'm going to ignore you probably, but I hear you. I know you're there. Okay, so turn your phone off. Just ignore it, whatever. After 6 p.m. You don't need to look at it. There is no email that you need after 6 p.m. There is nothing happening on Facebook after 6 p.m. except some ridiculous meme that never should have been posted anyway. That, someone probably should regret ever even creating. There's a circle of hell for those meme makers. Please, Jesus. There's got to be revenge. There must be. Okay, so you don't need it. If there is an emergency, someone will call you, and you can answer the phone. If there's an emergency, people will find you. Don't worry. They're not going to find you on Facebook, and they're not going to find you via your email. If there's an emergency, they'll find you. You don't need it. You're doing it to ignore other things that you probably should be doing after 6 p.m., like reading a good book or saying prayers with your kids or, praying yourself maybe. I don't know. Just throwing some ideas out there. Just some thoughts. Eat sitting down, preferably a meal that maybe you made out of real food that didn't come out of the microwave with your family. Have a conversation because this is another good time to not have your phone. Put your phone down. You do not need your phone during dinner. Again, nothing is happening during dinner. I know, and I see all these elbows going. I see you. You think I don't see you. You think I'm blind up here, don't y'all? I'm not blind. I see you. I'm doing it too. Put it down. Have a meal that you actually give your body a chance to digest. You don't need to eat standing up. Go to bed. Really, truly, go to bed. And I know a lot of us, our thoughts start to chase us because we've been ignoring them all day long. So you lay down, and that's the first time that you're like, oh, in July of 2020, I need to do this. Right? Anyone else? Or you relive that argument, and you're like, this is what I should have said? Man, I should have said that. Anyone? Your brain starts going, right? If you're one of those people, keep a journal beside your bed. Write them down. Get them out. It will help. And then you'll realize the next day that the brilliant idea that you had at 2 a.m. wasn't nearly as brilliant as you thought it was. Because let me tell you, I have brilliant sermons at 2 a.m. And then, I'm like, oh, no, that would not be a good idea. Can you believe that I think of worse things than I actually say? Go ahead, wrap your mind around that one for a second. Okay, so get the thoughts out. Sit down. Just take a rest. If you're very, very busy, 5 minutes of rest. You don't even need that long. Sit down and breathe. Just breathe. Would you believe that breathing changes everything? Just getting oxygen to your brain and breathing will help you refocus. It will center you again. So we're going to do one of those because I know how scary stillness can be. Have you ever been in that church where they wait 30 seconds in between every prayers of the people? And you're like, come on. Jesus knows. We don't need 30 seconds. Just, okay. Yeah, okay. Silence, it's terrifying. It's so troubling. It's frustrating, right? You're like, just pray. All right. So you need stillness, right? And you need that time. And I realize that time is terrifying. So we're going to do a little practice run of it because one of the things that can help if you're doing a breathing exercise is the counting. Will give something for your brain to do where it will not fly in different directions like blueberries on sale at Sprouts, which they are they were last week. They're $1.98. That's great produce. Okay, so we're going to try one. The other one that is, I think, very, very effective because, I'm religious and all that. I like the Jesus prayer. So if you can come up with a mantra, or even the Lord's Prayer, and breathe through those prayers, it will help your breath and your breathing. And it's a very effective way of praying. Because it's amazing what praying is like when you're not demanding things. We could all try praying without demanding things, where we just listen. And people are like, but God doesn't say anything. Well, maybe that's saying anything. I don't know. Anyone ever told your kids they ask you for something, you're like, well, I don't know, sweetie. That's an answer. It's no, but it's an answer. Right? I mean, we all do that. We're just like, oh, we'll just give it time. Maybe they'll forget. They'll forget that they wanted a pony by the time they're 7. They don't forget. They don't forget. Okay, so we're going to practice a breathing exercise because I think it's very effective, and somehow just having an actual exercise can help you. Because, like I said, I think it's important to take time throughout your day to just take a break. I know, I'm sitting. Look at me sitting like a big kid. Okay, so to do this one, it's best to have your feet flat on the floor, relax, check out your shoulders, get yourself comfortable. Now, because I realize that inside your head can be terrifying, so some people closing your eyes is best. For some people, just finding a place to focus. I don't know, like a cross perhaps? I mean, this is church. So whichever of those helps you relax and find a place to focus. Okay. So I'm going to tell you what we're going to do before we do it so that it doesn't come as a surprise. We're going to do this breathing exercise 3 times. And we're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. We're going to hold it for 7. And we're going to exhale for 8. Now, you will yawn. Yawning is a good thing. It's a way of getting oxygen back into your brain. So I won't be offended if you're yawning during my sermons this time. So also know that if you're yawning, it's because your brain needs oxygen, and oxygen is the thing that resets your brain. So if you're yawning, yawn. It's probably because your body needs it. Okay, so I will count you through it. All right, so we all in our happy place, wherever that is. Okay, so you're going to breathe in through your nose. Breathe in deeply. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you're like, I'm still supposed to be exhaling. Okay. We're going to do it another time. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I realize that one's kind of exhausting, but if you're in the middle of an argument or you're really, really stressed out, breathe in 4, exhale 4. It will reset your breathing, which will reset your brain. And I highly recommend doing those prayers as you're praying the Lord's Prayer. It's also really helpful to have a mantra, like Jesus is with me. You can have all sorts of different mantras. And we all have kind of that scripture or that one line that clicks with us. And it's short. Use it during the praying and the breathing because it's very, very helpful. And it's helpful to switch to prayers, like I said, that are focused on just breathing and opening ourselves up as opposed to making demands. Because most of our prayers are like, Dear Jesus, why isn't this person driving faster? That's not a prayer. It doesn't count. When somebody's like, well, I'm spiritual but not religious, and I'm like, oh, well, tell me about your prayer life. Well, I cuss people out when I'm driving. Well, no. No, prayer life looks a little bit different than that. And I realize that life is hectic. I realize that we need the sale on Sprouts. But as Jesus calls us, take a break. It is only through those breaks that we can do the ministry to which we are called. And that ministry surrounds you. And guys, this world needs our ministry. It needs it desperately. And you cannot fill an empty glass from an empty pitcher. You cannot. But sometimes we're so busy giving that we're empty. When you're empty, you have nothing left. Remember, if you're on a plane, put your oxygen mask on first. I know, right? And another good one is laugh with the kid. I'm not kidding. If you laugh with a child or have a conversation, enter into their play, it's amazing what that will do for you. Because you will look in the face of Christ. It's incredible. It's amazing. And will get you breathing again. So this is my call to you. What would Jesus do? Take a nap.
We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons. We can't wait to meet you.